Okay. Does the stream work? Let's see. I've got a new setup now. I've got chat on the side of the screen, and I'm going to use my phone to look at, on the side of your screen, I won't be able to see it, but I'm going to use my phone so that I can look at chat without, because I only have a laptop, I don't have another screen. Of course I can say Burger King. Burger King. No, I have to say it more like Caleb. Burger King. Alright, gonna wait for some more people to get in here before we start talking about stuff that's gonna make some extremely online teenagers and Bed Nortons out there very angry. As I look at my chat on my phone here, what is my phone? It's an Oppo. It's like a Chinese brand. It's probably illegal in the US these days, who knows? I mean, I probably won't leave the stream VOD up because putting stream VODs on your main channel is a very bad idea. But I might clip something if there's something worth clipping on my second channel. Let's look. I'm watching myself. Watching myself on the phone. Epic. Yeah, I bought this phone specifically because I want to help China to oppress the Uyghurs. So I bought a Chinese phone to give them money for it. What about China? I mean, it doesn't matter what phone you buy. You're giving money to Chinese companies anyway. And who cares? Individual consumer choices don't make a difference. You can't do anything. I would like to go to China, but I'm afraid of, I might be on some sort of list. I'm definitely on some sort of list. So in places. Bolivia, if I went there, I would be killed. Probably. You'd never see me again. Okay, I'm gonna give it like 5 minutes until I start doing stuff because I don't want to start like the main thing that I want to talk about without the actual context of everything that I'm talking about from the beginning. Wash never replied to me. I sent him DMs on Twitter and he never responded. So I assume he's busy and has a backlog or something, or doesn't care. The ball's in his court. Yeah, but Vorsh streaming doesn't help me because we have no contact other than the tweet that he sent that said like, yeah, okay. So that his streaming doesn't really facilitate anything. I mean, Musk, like, admitting to backing the coup or whatever is kind of... He's like an idiot who says anything on Twitter. So, like, do we think that he's being serious or do we take it as, like, a serious admission? I don't know. He definitely seems like the kind of person who, if it was serious, he would say it anyway because he's that stupid. And also knows that he has complete impunity, so... He's got a debate scheduled. Damn. Well, unfortunately for Vorsh, I'm a very important individual and you don't keep me waiting. I don't think Bolivia's lithium is important enough for a coup. Natural gas, yes. The lithium hasn't really been exploited yet. It would be like a completely new project. Vorsh did reply to my DMs the first time, but not after I actually tweeted about it. Okay. Let's see how many viewers we got. Do we have enough viewers that I can start the good stuff? 200, whatever, let's go. Okay, so we're gonna talk about first China. This will take like maybe 45 minutes now, I don't know. The Uyghur stuff in, how do you pronounce it? Xinjiang? I don't know. I don't speak Chinese and I'm white, so I'm gonna embarrass myself with lots of pronunciations. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of go over the evidence that I personally know of, doesn't mean that it's all that there is, that objectively comes from the Chinese government. The only source, two sources, Chinese government and testimonies that are aren't like really formal. The reason for that is that the people who deny it, who justify it, they will not accept any source that is not literally just the Chinese government, Chinese state media, and they definitely won't accept the testimonies. They think that all the testimonies are by CIA agents. No matter how, you can find a video of a testimony with 2 views on YouTube, CIA agent. It was planted there so that I would find it, one day in the future to show it to you. So there's not really any winning with them, but I do want to show that even just using these sorts of sources, you can show very, very convincingly that there is something very sus going on. And this is, acknowledging the fact that obviously the US is using the issue for their own ends. They don't give a fucking shit about anyone in Xinjiang. They don't give a shit about Uyghurs. They don't give a shit about Kazakhs. They don't care about these people. Everyone knows that, right? It's obvious. But the fact that the US, Europe, and lots of idiots online are using like Hong Kong, Xinjiang, etc. for their own ends, dishonest bullshit ends to further right-wing causes, doesn't mean that there's nothing bad happening there, that all the stuff that's coming out from there isn't true. And there's also the point that people like to make where it's like, these Uyghur refugees, they're giving testimonies on, questionable sources. They have right-wing politics, stuff like that. And when I see that, I just think like, if your people were being oppressed by a world superpower, China right now, number 2 superpower in the world, obviously, it arguably could be number 1 already, definitely will be number 1 within the next 5 to 10 years. When you are being oppressed by such a powerful force, where the fuck do you go? Are you supposed to not go to basically the geopolitical rival, the US? Are you supposed to not think about these things I have to think about which government I should complain to so that I don't delegitimize my cause in the eyes of Ben Norton? And it's also completely understandable that people from a place like Xinjiang might end up being right-wingers because, when you run from ridiculous trauma, ridiculous terror, and the only people who listen to you are right-wingers, even if they're doing it for their own nefarious ends, you're going to be influenced by them. It's something that we kind of have to pick up on. Otherwise, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Someone mentioned Adrian Zenz. Okay, let's talk about Adrian Zenz. The thing with Zenz is that everything that people say about him is true. He's an absolutely bonkers Christian like evangelist. He believes the world is going to end, and the second coming is coming soon, or whatever. But that doesn't mean that his research is invalid. It doesn't mean. I mean, is he genuinely concerned? No, he doesn't give a shit. But the thing that he has done that is actually valuable for everyone, even if you think that he's a complete bonkers conspiracy theorist. Okay, let's say that anything that Zenz has said, aside from the official government sources that he uses, is false. I think that's a bit of a stretch because, you know, the documents that he has released, some of them are very, very convincing, others not so much. But if we only look at, let's look at the AP News article based on his research. How do I open the thingamajigger? Here. AP News article, blah, blah, blah. What was the newest one? This is like the big reveal article that they made. Now, I'm going to look through this article and I'm going to show you how much stuff in this is actually official government statistics. And it's a lot. There are like testimonies and stuff, like, you know, let's say we have this lady here. She's CIA or whatever, that's what they tell you. All the testimonies are from the CIA. You know, you may be able to claim that there's something sus about like the big name testimonies like this one, for example, maybe. But, you know, this is, I think it's a bit cynical to just claim that every single one of them is CIA. So, these statistics here, the birth rate drop. So it's purported that the camps opened in, which line is Xinjiang? It's purported that the camps opened in, are you actually seeing what I'm seeing? Yeah. It is purported that the camps opened in, before I continue, I need to make sure that I have chat actually open so that people can tell me if I'm fucking something up with the stream. Okay, so these statistics here are based on Chinese government yearbooks. I've checked them, they're authentic. I'll bring it up. I tweeted a screenshot of it a while ago. Let's see. I have to like search my own tweets. Birth rate. Oh, that's not my handle. My handle's BadEmpanada. There we go. Okay, so these statistics. These obviously are from an AP investigation based off Adrian Zenz's research. And Adrian Zenz, yeah, he's all the things that they say that he is. But what he says here is correct. Xinjiang in 2017, which is the year that the camps reported to have been opened, birth rate 15.88 per 1,000 people. The very next year, the birth rate drops by, what is that, 35%? I think it's 30, maybe upper 28s, like upper 20s. Birth rate just drops from 15.88 to 10.94 after being pretty much, you know, for the last 6-7 years, pretty much all the same. That is extremely suspect. And this birth rate here, Hotan and Kashgar, they say, I haven't been able to look this one up because, you know, I can't read Chinese, but they say that this is a more Uyghur majority, Kazakh majority region, and its birth rate has dropped even harsher than the Xinjiang as a whole birth rate. And that is suspect, and I see no reason to doubt that it's real because, you know, the rest of these are real. Let me show you. This is a screenshot from official Chinese government statistical yearbook. Why don't I go to the actual URL to show you? gov.cn. I have to type it. Okay, I'm going to type the URL like this. NDSJ 2018 / indexe.htm. Indexe.htm. Oh my god, did I type it wrong? Maybe you need the www. Yeah, here it is. So, you know, if you're going to say that Adrian Zenz is lying, well, you should actually check his statistics. You know, fact check them, because most of them are correct. They're not false. They're not bullshit. You can look them up freely. God, my internet is very laggy when I'm streaming. I love this guy. Birth rate drops with education, access to medical care, birth control. Yes. In 1 year, all the Uyghurs were given access to medical care, you know, birth control. In the very year that just so happens to correlate with the purported opening of these camps, which have been attested to by countless refugees. Wow, what a coincidence. You know, people like this will say that correlation does not equal causation. That is their only defense. But the problem here is, you know, we're not just talking about this. We're talking about everything together. This is one piece of evidence. And the idea that all of these coincidences just so happen to perfectly line up, the fact that we started getting testimonies just absolutely pouring out of Xinjiang all at the same time, the fact that, you know, these statistics line up, the fact that the Chinese government basically admitted that there are camps, just, you know, using euphemisms for it, all of this just so happens to line up. And, you know, I'm not even using any other source. I'm not using this AP investigation. I don't use any of Zenz's purported secret documents or whatever that he happens to find, even though I seriously doubt that all of them are false. Like this one, for example, which is supposed to be a fine that someone got for having a third child, even though it's legal to have 3 children in China. You know, you can say that this is false, and, you know, I have to say it must be very easy to live in a world where anything you don't like, you can just claim that it's the CIA. But either way, I don't base my opinions off that stuff. I base my opinions off Chinese government statistics and what people are actually saying. So this is the 2018 yearbook. Actually, it's a 2017 yearbook. And when we go to Xinjiang, we can see birth rate 15.88. Change this to 2019. Where is the thing that I'm looking for? Total population birth rate. Here. Wow, what a surprise. It's accurate. You know, when I posted this, I was responding to someone who told me, man, all of these statistics are from Adrian Zenz. He's less reliable than shit. And I said, it's publicly available Chinese government statistics. Do you think he falsified them? Yes. How do you engage with people like this? It's impossible. There's no possible way. So let me just show the thing that I was talking about. 10.69, I think that is. I can't read it. It's very small, but it's down here. There's definitely, if I can't read it, there's no way you guys can read it. So, you know, it's all CIA, etc., etc., etc. Just going to ban some genocide deniers for a second. So, we have one example there. So you can see here that I think it's safe to say, you know, because I don't read Chinese, basically very few people in my chat probably read Chinese, that when Zenz is quoting government statistics, like government statistics, as in open government statistics that anyone can check, they are pretty much, they're going to be correct. There's no reason not to think that, because, you know, even if he's a Christian evangelist with a ridiculous agenda, he's also an academic, and he knows that, you know, this shit is going to get checked. So, like, where are some more government statistics mentioned in this article? There was one article that was like, it was like Zenz's article, and he had documents that, I think he said they were like secret documents from, or not secret, but, you know, leaked prisoner registrars or something. I mean, this article is full of so much shit that, you know, it's quite a stretch to say that every single little document here is CIA, especially when they correlate with the official Chinese government statistics. But hey, let's get off from Zenz for a second, because, you know, people hate him, rightfully so. That doesn't mean that every single thing that he says isn't true, but there's valuable things to take from his research, especially because, you know, he's just the guy who actually speaks Chinese and points out what Chinese government statistics say. That alone is very valuable. And even his, you know, even genocide deniers should probably take note, because if you can actually try to account for these statistics, you might be able to deny genocide better rather than just calling everything CIA like a fucking little child, like the Alex Jones with a red flag. Anyway, so there was an interview with the governor of Xinjiang in Chinese state media. Xinhuanet, I think it is. This is old, it's 2 years old, but, you know. So, chairman, they call him. I mean, I call everyone a governor because it's simple. So, this entire article is basically saying, yes, there are camps, but, and in the entire article, they don't deny that there's camps. They don't deny that people are being forced into the camps. They frame them as, you know, prisoners who are guilty of crimes who are being given the privilege of a free tertiary education. So let's look. First question, would you please give us a brief on the current situation in Xinjiang? Blah, blah, blah. Since the 1990s, the three evil forces, terrorism, extremism, and separatism. So, if you've watched my content, if you've watched my video on terrorism, you know how states use terrorism to basically delegitimize their enemies. If you trust the Chinese government to tell you who isn't an evil terrorist, I'm not sure about your leftist credentials there. If you trust any government to tell you that, I mean, if you'd even see the word terrorism as a meaningful thing, yeah, I'm not sure about that. Separatism, the idea that wanting to separate from another state is an evil that must be combated. I mean, for the state it is. You know, states want to perpetuate themselves. They want to keep their integrity. That's what a state is for before anything else. A state's goal, a state's bureaucracy, everything about a state is dedicated to perpetuating itself before anything else, before helping people, before whatever. And if you don't understand this extremely basic, self-evident, fundamental, then obviously, you know, you'll believe things like the Chinese state is a benevolent, you know, they're benevolent. It serves the people. No state ever serves the people before it serves itself. So separatism, the idea that people, you know, wanting to separate from a state is a blanket bad thing. The people who defend this try to justify it by saying that the US wants to balkanize China. They want to break up China. But the US couldn't break up China, even if they wanted to. Even if that's their plan, they can't do that. God, in 10 years, China's going to be the world's predominant power. You know, the US is completely impotent in the face of China. There's not going to be a war with China. If there is a war with China, the US is going to fucking lose, let me tell you. There's not going to be a hot war with China. The US can't do shit. What is the US going to do to China, a state with so much social control? Are they going to force some sort of rebellion in Xinjiang? I mean, if there was, the CPC, however you want to say it, would not hesitate to just ruthlessly crush it. They don't hold back against stuff that's happening on the mainland. So, like, the notion that anyone in China who expresses, a separatist tendency is some sort of CIA chaos agent, and automatically that it's a bad thing and that we should just take their word for it, is obviously absurd. Being skeptical of a state, even states that you like and support, of things that they tell you, it's such a basic fundamental of being a leftist. And if you don't do that, you have no capacity for critical thought. I'm not even an anarchist. I'm closer to a Marxist-Leninist, if anything. And if I'm saying this, Now, they justify all of this with terrorism. We can see it here. They have plotted, organized, and conducted thousands of violent terrorist attacks, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's true. Uyghurs have also joined ISIS. There are violent extremist groups in Xinjiang. There have been terrorist attacks in China, very terrible terrorist attacks in China. None of that justifies making camps where you force people to go and learn Mandarin and learn Chinese history, and by all accounts, by accounts of countless testimonies, camps that people are not going to voluntarily, camps that plenty of people who are not at all associated with terrorism are being thrown into. You wouldn't justify this sort of thing if it was happening in the UK. You wouldn't justify this sort of thing was happening in the US, even though those countries, especially the UK, have tons of people joining ISIS. I think the UK has thousands, or at least hundreds of people who went and joined ISIS. And there's also been many terrorist attacks in the UK, at least as much as China, I believe. But somehow, there's no camps where they're throwing all the Muslims in. It's guilt by association. They're very, very obviously trying to assimilate these people into greater Chinese culture through compulsory language instruction in these camps, which I'll show you. Some residents have a limited command of the country's common language. Yeah, because they live in a place where they don't need to know the language. It's not what their native language is. This doesn't justify it. Some residents have a limited command of the country's common language, blah, blah, blah. And they justify what they're doing by saying they need to learn the country's common language because they have a low material basis, aka they're in poverty. I probably should have actually taken the excerpts of this that are relevant before I started the stream. He's just, more sort of thing. As for most people who are influenced by terrorism and extremism, those people suspected of minor criminal offences do not have to be subject to penalties that can be exempted from criminal punishment. So, if you read between the lines here, terrorism and extremism, these are always extremely vague charges. These are the sorts of things that you can pin anyone with, really. So, they're saying the people in the camps have been influenced by terrorism and extremism, but they are suspected of minor criminal offences, aka they haven't actually done anything related to terrorism or extremism, but we still suspect them of it. And then Xinjiang has provided them with free vocational training through vocational education institutions to help improve their ability in commanding the country's common language, acquiring legal knowledge, because they don't know that bad things are illegal apparently, and vocational skills among others. In this way, Xinjiang can better guard against the infiltration of terrorism and extremism. If you look at this and you don't see the obvious euphemism, you have no critical thought no capacity for critical thought whatsoever. And there's more. Like, the trainees will take more about learning the common language to improve their communication abilities. Oh, I guess that their own language isn't good enough for that. Gain modern science knowledge. I guess those backwards peasants don't know about any of that. And enhance their understanding of Chinese history. Pretty obvious there. Chinese history, culture, and national conditions. Wow. Sounds extremely like what happened in Australia, in the US, in Canada, where they threw Indian people into schools and taught them English and, de-barbarized them for their own good. But, that's bad, but it's not bad when China does it. When China does it, it's justified because, there's terrorists there. There's extremists there. That means that you can, put collective guilt onto all people, onto all Muslims, onto all Kazakhs, onto all Uyghurs, throw them into camps, force them to learn Chinese, force them to learn Chinese history and culture, etc. Basically, by defending this sort of thing, people are saying that they don't give a shit about cultural and linguistic minorities. These people should be forced to assimilate for their own good. Otherwise, they're going to be terrorists. They're going to be influenced by evil terrorist forces. Just taking the Chinese government's narrative here at face value, which is what these people do, because the way that they do it is they say, one, there's no camps. Then you point out this sort of stuff and they say, okay, there are camps, but as you can see, what the governor here is saying, they all deserve it. So it doesn't really matter what you say to them. They'll always have a retort like that negates everything that you said in a way that they don't even have to try. It's like, that's all CIA? First, look at this evidence. That's all CIA. Okay, what about the Chinese government statistics? Correlation is not causation. Okay, but what about the Chinese government statistics combined with everything else? Don't you think that's a bit too much of a coincidence? Well, they deserve it. There's terrorism going on there. What more can you do than throwing however many Uyghurs into camps? You might have those testimonies, but well, her son deserved it, let me tell you. So I haven't read chat in a while. Let's see about the absolute meltdown going on there. I mean, the idea, that's another thing what Skylar Sauce said. There is a defense that Muslim majority countries are complicit in this. Yeah, they are. A lot of Muslim majority countries don't have anything to say about this, or they just flat out deny it. And I mean, it's obvious why they're doing that. It's the same reason that a lot of countries don't say bad things about the US or Israel. They have close ties with these countries. They prefer their economic and geopolitical ties with China more than they really care about some bad thing that China is doing to people who just happen to share a religion with them. I mean, that's obvious. It's, for example, the same reason why Paraguay recognizes Taiwan and not China, because Taiwan bribes Paraguay to recognize them to make up for the trade that they would lose with China, which is incredible. I mean, China is the economic force in the world. Everyone needs economic ties with China. So just imagine how much they're getting from Taiwan to justify that. It's the same sort of thing. If you're Saudi Arabia or whatever, and you have a choice between saying, I want to denounce what they're doing to the Uyghurs in Xinjiang, or saying, I don't know what you're talking about, buddy. Which are you going to choose? You're going to choose the second one because you don't give a shit about those people. This is geopolitical realism. It's international relations realism. It's just how the world works when we have a bunch of capitalist states. They care more about their own economy, their own geopolitical stability, their own alliances than they do denouncing something that's going on across the world. The reason why the US, the EU, all these countries are denouncing China is not because they care about it. It's because it's a cynical sort of, power play. But that doesn't mean that it's not happening just because they're saying it is. You have to disconnect from that. You have to disconnect from the geopolitical reality and the actual evidence, which, if you look at it, it's not enough to say definitively there is 100% a cultural genocide going on in Xinjiang. But it's enough, it's more than enough to say that, it sure fucking looks like there is. All the people who are fleeing, all the refugee testimonies, stuff like that, or the government statistics that just so happen to conveniently line up with the exact time frame. These sorts of interviews with Chinese officials, where rather than denying the camps, they basically try to justify them and say they're a good thing, in the same way that colonialists did in Anglosphere countries, like, as I said earlier, Australia, Canada, and the US. Oh, we need to prevent their births because they're inferior people. We need to teach them. We need to teach them the English language. We need to teach them Christianity. We need to basically make them into like brown or black white people. We need to make them into brown or black Europeans. I believe the phrase that was used in Australia was kill the black, keep the man. Basically, that's it. Kill the Uyghur, keep the person. It's not a literal genocide of extermination, but cultural genocide, even though the UN doesn't recognize it, because of course they don't, because genocide is a political definition that was decided upon by a bunch of states that wanted to exclude themselves from being able to be accused of genocide. But the man who coined the term genocide was working on a definition of cultural genocide before he died, which he unfortunately died before being able to get out. I believe he was looking at the Spanish conquest as one of his examples, the Spanish conquest of the Americas. And that's what's going on here, trying to eradicate or at least marginalize the prevalence of Uyghur and Kazakh culture in Xinjiang. And I mean, I don't doubt that Chinese officials legitimately believe that they're doing this to combat terrorism or whatever. I don't doubt that a lot of them do believe that. I wouldn't doubt this guy believes what he's saying. That doesn't change a thing, because what they're doing is basically Hanizing these people. Attacking a marginalized linguistic, cultural, ethnic minority and trying to make them more like you is obviously not how you do anything for them. It's not how you lift them out of poverty. It's not how you help them. You respect those things when you do those things. And if you disagree, well, congratulations. You've got some fashy tendencies going on there. Anyway, let's see how I'm being yelled at. How do I make my... I'm big now. I'm reading the chat. Yeah, cultural genocide policies were carried out, and I believe still are being carried out, at least somewhat, in Canada, the US, and Australia. Australia, I don't know about the US and Canada, I'm not too educated on those, but Australia was more severe than what's going on in China, in that they literally took the children. They stole the children. I'm not sure if that's happening in Xinjiang, but there's enough evidence that it's extremely likely that they are doing at least something to stop births. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they're not specifically targeting births, and the birth rate just dropped because so many people were displaced from their homes and thrown into these camps and stuff and had their lives turned upside down. That wouldn't surprise me. Hold on, I need to look at super chats. I mean, you're supposed to do that as a streamer. Some guys like, you can't prove China's narrative wrong. I mean, the idea that you have to literally like be on the ground with like a UN inspection team to prove it wrong is obviously these people probably wouldn't even accept that. But I think that's kind of what they want. That's the only thing that they would even remotely accept, or at least is what they imply. And it's like, buddy, we're talking about China here. We're talking, even in the US, before a UN inspection team would be allowed to go somewhere, it would be completely sanitized. What they're seeing would be like a tailored experience, to try and make things look much better than they actually are. So obviously, that also wouldn't debunk anything. And obviously China wouldn't allow it to happen, and the UN is not exactly an unquestionable organization anyway. Someone said someone did a video about how Nazis are socialists. Thank you for the super chat. I've heard of that guy and his video, and I mean, I'm not going to respond to that. It's ludicrous. The idea that the Nazis were socialists is obviously a ludicrous notion, even if someone makes a 4-hour video about it. But I believe it's been addressed multiple times on the Bad History subreddit. So if you want to look for debunks of that video, you should check it out there. I'm not sure much. I don't know much about the Spanish colonization of California. As far as I know, they didn't go very far. I mean, they were mostly in Baja California, weren't they? In Northern California, I'm not really sure. I think they were mostly very small, relatively very small towns. I could be wrong. Someone said, do you support states like Cuba, Vietnam, Laos, etc.? I mean, I wouldn't say that I support any state. I support places that I feel are doing good things as long as they're doing them. I don't want to follow specific people or states because I feel like that can lead you down a shitty path like our Dengist friends are going down. But right now, do I think that Cuba, Vietnam, I don't know anything about Laos, but as far as I know, Laos is basically a Vietnamese client state, which I mean isn't such a bad thing for their people, maybe, because Vietnam is, I think Vietnam is pretty good. Obviously, they have issues. I feel like the government there doesn't need to do what they do in terms of stopping dissent because they're incredibly popular. Same thing in China. The Chinese government is incredibly popular, and for good reason. They do lots of shitty stuff, but they've been credited for a lot of the developmental progress there. So it's obvious that people would like them. It doesn't make sense that they think that they need to literally crack down on anything the smallest little dissent. They can handle it. Same thing in Vietnam, though Vietnam is not as bad as China. But in terms of like the stuff that the Vietnamese state offers, yes, yeah, I mean, it's very good, much better than most other countries, especially other poor countries. Cuba as well. Yeah, I mean, Vietnam didn't seem like I haven't been to China, but I have been to Vietnam, and Vietnam, it's not like a surveillance state or anything like that. I like Luna and American, though I feel like they romanticize Vietnamese culture a bit. Like they try to say that the COVID, the way that Vietnam handled COVID worked really well, not because the government took great action, but because Vietnamese culture is just better suited to it. And I thought that was, it's kind of like, I can understand why Luna would say that because she's a Vietnamese nationalist. Obviously, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think it's kind of romanticizing things there. Obviously, the reason that Vietnamese people will break laws. They'll try to get around what the government tells them they should do. Stuff like that. They're not infallible, perfect superhumans. There's no need to romanticize them like that. What happened in Vietnam was the government took incredibly decisive action that needed to be taken, and they completely destroyed the virus better than any other country has. And I applaud them for that. But we don't have to pretend that's not what happened because there's nothing wrong with that. People call it an authoritarian response. I don't care. It worked. The reason that Vietnam is antagonistic towards China is because, firstly, there is there is a very long history of China attacking Vietnam, which is which has contributed to a sort of being anti-Chinese kind of integral to Vietnamese nationalism. Though I still don't feel like they would be antagonistic towards each other if it wasn't for the Chinese invasion of Vietnam in 1979 and the fact that Vietnam realigned with the USSR after the Sino-Soviet split. If that didn't happen, I don't think that anti-Chinese sentiment would be such a core part of Vietnamese nationalism. That said, when I was in Vietnam, I met a lot of Chinese Vietnamese people and seemed pretty normal. I don't know. I can't really judge it. Obviously, I'm just some random guy there. I don't know if they're discriminated against, but they didn't complain. I asked them about it. They were like, no one says anything. Hold on. I'm gonna get a water, and I'm gonna try playing an ad. If I can figure out how to play an ad while streaming, I don't know. Here it is. I'm gonna get some water and play an ad for all of you. I'll be back in a minute. And I'll answer questions and stuff. Hello. So I wanted to ask, I have a suspicion that there is some background noise in my audio. Can anyone tell me? Because I have a heater on right now, an electric heater, and I have a suspicion that OBS, Open Broadcaster software, which is a streaming software that I'm using, applies the noise reduction automatically. So do you guys hear like a buzz? Yeah, I think it's automatic then. Whatever. I don't know how to do audio properly. I don't know how to equalize. I don't know. I mean, I know how to edit audio really well actually, but I don't know how to do it on live streaming. So the audio is probably not great. Oh no, it's the problem is this is the mic's pickup pad and it's here and it's literally right there. It's in front of it. So yeah. I mean, Chilean is not Spanish, dude. Chilean is another language. Estoy weonando. No, ¿cómo se dice? Estoy weonando a mi weona. Stuff like that. What the fuck are you saying? I'm never saying that ever again. I'm sorry. Estoy aweonando a mi weona. In my mind, that means I'm fucking a girl or something. I swore. Now this stream is going to get demonetized. I mean, am I supposed to respond to like some conspiracy theory saying these people don't belong there? It doesn't matter. I mean, if they were put there, it doesn't fucking matter. They're still Chinese citizens, aren't they? All right, what can we talk about? Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, probably already demonetized for terrorism. Did it play an ad? I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched Morpin's debate with Vorsh. I think sounds like a huge waste of time. I'm surprised that I can actually stream because I am in Argentina. I'm on Wi-Fi. I'm on a laptop. I have terrible internet. Yeah. I talked about the Elon Musk tweet earlier, but I'll do it again. So let me bring it up just to make sure that we know what we're talking about. What's the hotkey? There we go. Elon Musk coup. Is it Elon or Elon Musk? Well, I don't know. His name doesn't deserve... He doesn't deserve to have his name pronounced properly. We will coup whoever we want. Deal with it. In response to someone talking about lithium. And I mean, he got less likes than the tweet before him. And this is, this is a guy with 37 million followers. And a guy with 14,000 followers got more likes in a response to him. I think that says something about, social media democracy, folks. There it is. But anyway, what do I think about it? Do I see it as an admission? Nah. I think, something that I just want to comment on. Every time there's something like this, you get a Ben Norton tweet, and it's like something that someone said recently in a reply on my Twitter that really made me laugh and that I think is very true was that some people sound like they're always trying to give a speech when they type. That perfectly fucking describes Ben Norton. He cannot just sound like he's speaking kind of normally. Ben Norton, the fascist Bolivian coup dictatorship has already invited billionaire imperialist Elon Musk to exploit the country's lithium reserves. When this capitalist oligarch brags, we will coup whoever we want. Take the fascist criminal at his word. Everything that they do just sounds... Ugh, come on. What do I think about this tweet? I think that it just doesn't particularly say anything about whether he was involved or not. I think it's unlikely that Elon Musk was involved just because, these people have wanted to coup Bolivia forever. It's not just lithium. It's not even remotely just lithium. There's tons of other reasons involved. Racism, number one, obviously. But I mean, it is what it is. Elon Musk says whatever the fuck he wants, and there's absolutely no way he'll ever be held accountable for it. So what can we do? I should probably read chat. I don't know about etnocaceristas, but I'll read about them later. It sounds really interesting, but I mean, I thought the serious left in Peru was, what was her name? The Quechua lady who came third in the last real election. What was her name? Let me look it up. Am I showing you guys this? Yep. Peruvian election, was it 2016? Yeah. Yeah, Veronica Mendoza. I think she's Quechua, or at least speaks Quechua. And I don't know. At the time, I thought it was nice to see her come in third place. 20% of the vote is pretty good for leftists in Peru these days, especially considering that a lot of like centre-leftists joined Kaczynski's coalition just because they didn't want Fujimori to win, which is fair enough. Hello, my friends. So I went over the China stuff really fast, and now I don't know what to talk about. I use Microsoft Edge because it's the best free PDF viewer that you can get, at least that I know of. It's a much better PDF viewer than Google Chrome and Firefox. I haven't talked about the LARPers on Twitter yet, but I figured that since I've been tweeting about it so much, it's already covered everything. I am going to talk about Velasco in the video. Not that much, but a little bit, because it's very relevant, because the Shining Path were incredibly opposed to him. They hated him. They called him a fascist. So yeah, how can I not talk about that? It's the perfect example of just how they hated everyone, even if they were leftists, who did good things. Chinese trading. I mean, I don't care about if any country is trading with China. I don't think it's a bad thing to trade with China. If countries decide, without coercion that they want to trade with China, that's their business. People try to demonize trade deals with China. I don't care about that. I think that if you're going to trade with the US or China, China is the much better option. No matter if you're not like a first world country, you will get way more out of China. They of course, I mean, they're not genuine. They want to get the most out of the deal for themselves. But at least, they're nowhere near as coercive as the US is. Same thing with like the Belt and Road Initiative, Chinese loans, stuff like that. Yeah, they're bad. If you can avoid them, you should. But if you're going to get a loan, it's better to get one from China than it is from the IMF or World Bank. Hold on, let me check the super chats. Sorry, I get backlogged on them, but I will get to them. What is my opinion on left communism? Well, I think left communism is when you sit on your armchair and you just criticize everyone and say that no one should ever do anything. So I don't think it's great. And have I read Bordiga? No. But I do know that he's the guy in the meme of sitting on an armchair, so sounds about right. I mean, if they were used to wearing a mask in Asian countries, I don't think that's such a specific Asian cultural thing. I think it's just common sense. When you're sick, wear a mask. It's the sort of thing that should be adopted all over the world. So, should I do a video game? Is that what we should do? If I do a video game, will everyone leave? Have I been to Bolivia? I haven't been to Bolivia. I wanted to go like right around the time of the coup, and then I couldn't go for obvious reasons. Yeah. And now there's no way that I'm gonna subject myself to Bolivian border security, because the chance that my name is on a list is very high. The only game that I have is Total War Warhammer. So I could like start a campaign and play it very slowly on stream. Every time I stream, at the end of every stream for the next 10 years. Or something like that. Tropical Storm Gonzalo. I mean, Gonzalo is a pretty common name. You know, you're actually being very respectful to the Shining Path if you call him Comrade Gonzalo. His name is Abimel Guzman. He is a white son of a bourgeois merchant who literally won the national lottery. Yeah. That's the guy who they say was a representative of the peasants. Interesting. I mean, I don't use Steam. It's just you have to have Steam to play some games. Chabo Trap House, I mean, it's fine. I feel like they get shit on a lot for being brocialist or whatever, but they are not against identity politics. They're just against liberal identity politics. I mean, I don't think the only people who speak up for Palestinians are Graves and Assadist apologists. I think literally every single person in this chat right now thinks that Israel is a piece of shit. I guarantee you. So there you go. I just wanted to show this video on stream. I think it speaks for itself about the Shining Path. Before I do something else, I'm very unconfident with my hotkeys. I posted on Twitter. I subtitled this today. No, I can't. This is in Quechua. I couldn't understand it, but it had subtitles in Spanish. I think all of these three people, from what I gather from the video, the second one is talking about the Shining Path. The first one and the third one are talking about both the Shining Path and the army. So keep in mind here, it was not just the Shining Path that oppressed and abused peasants. It was the army. They were literally, these were just people who were stuck between basically two forces who both wanted to use them for their own ends. People, you know, who have lived in small towns their entire lives, and all of a sudden some Shining Path guys show up and start telling you what to do and what you're allowed to do. You know, obviously they're going to kick them out. So what happened is, when these people spoke up, they would get killed most of the time by the Shining Path. And when that happened, you know, this was the straw that broke the camel's back for them. They fought back. They kicked the Shining Path out of the town. And then the Shining Path would come back and do reprisals. They would kill people they would kill the people who kicked them out. Blah 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 blah. And that drove these people more closer towards the state. They started cooperating with state security. They started accepting being trained by the army for self-defense, stuff like that, etc., etc. And the Shining Path fans will call these people who, like, just indigenous peasants, they don't fucking know what fascism is. They don't care. They have no fucking idea what you're talking about. These people who lived in small towns of 500 people their entire lives, they're not fascists. As far as they're concerned, they're defending themselves from people who just showed up with guns and started telling them what to do. You know, there's ways to do revolution, and going into the towns of indigenous peasants and telling them that they need to abide by the doctrine of the son of a white lottery winner is absolutely fucking absurd. You know, there's better ways of doing this. You know, they hated, these people absolutely hated Castro's Cuba, for example. But what happened in Castro's Cuba is that the military columns were not just military columns. They were also basically mobile doctors. They were mobile teachers. You know, they went around the countryside resolving disputes between landlords and peasants that would never have gotten resolved without them. They taught people how to read. They gave people medical care. That's what Che Guevara did for most of the revolution before he became a commander. He gave people medical care that they had never had before. They didn't tell them what to do. They didn't take over their lives. They didn't basically appropriate everything about them for themselves. They made them want to support them. They made them want to join. And it's true that the Shining Path did get a lot of people to join them. But I mean, they got just as many people to hate them. Because they vastly overestimated how feudal Peru still was. They assumed that if they went to the towns and just killed whoever they decided was the big landowner, everyone would want to join them immediately. Generally, what happened is they ended up killing someone who wasn't a big landowner, or who was, a big landowner, but who wasn't a landlord, And those people were the community leaders. They were loved and respected in their community. So it just turned everyone against them. And of course, when that happens, Comrade Gonzalo is all like, these peasants who rebelled against us are fascists, and we must throw them all into ovens. So there you go. It's really like, when you put it that way, it sounds like a colonialist project, doesn't it? It's really nothing different. Anyway, so I was going to play this video. I'm going to do it now. I'm not going to say anything. I think it speaks for itself. But the first person was a victim of both sides. Second person was a victim of the Shining Path. Third person was a victim of both. Keep in mind, because I don't want to make it look like the state wasn't just as bad. Just want to emphasize, the Western Shining Path fans think that these people are CIA agents. I want to make that abundantly clear. This woman to them is a paid CIA agent. She's making all this up. Keep that in mind. Is this actually showing? Yes. This guy's talking about the Shining Path. So are you gonna tell that this guy here, are you gonna tell him that he was a fascist? He was a fascist for this, because his community didn't want to do what they said, didn't want to follow them. If you represent the peasants, right, what you do when that happens is you fucking move the fuck on, okay? Either that, or you do stuff that makes them actually want to follow you without literally fucking killing them and trying to force them to do it, okay? Pretty simple, right? No, not for these people, but they justify it. He was a fascist. He was not only a fascist, but he's also a CIA agent. Very interesting. CIA agent. Fucking CIA agent. This is why, I mean, the people who say this, I stand by everything that I said in my DMs to these people. I stand by every single thing I said to these pieces of shit. Let's find one. They didn't show up because I blocked them. But yeah, I stand by all of it. When you look at that sort of thing and your reaction is, this is a fascist, this is a CIA agent, just, you are not human. There's something extremely wrong with you. So let me catch up on chat. Do a video on Bald and Bankrupt. That guy is fucking disgusting, but I mean, I'm not going to do a video on him. I'm doing a video on Sendero Luminoso next. Not just on them, on the entire war. and also on Rage Against the Machine. Basically everything you could imagine is in the video. I've already written 4,000 words, and I'm not even like a third done. So yeah. I mean, Alexander Buchanan said, what possessed them to kill them? Not only utterly horrid, but also very Unche-like strategy. I'm glad you asked. So the Shining Path were incredibly sectarian. They hated absolutely everyone. Okay? Everyone. Didn't matter if you were a leftist, if you were a right-winger, if you were a centrist, if you were just liberal, if you were like some random apolitical peasant. They fucking hated you until you joined them, okay? Their opinion was that Che Guevara was a bourgeois adventurist. Their opinion was that Castro's Cuba was a bourgeois, like a highly developed bourgeois state, I believe is what they said. When in 1968, there was a coup, a military coup in Cuba. The military took over from an elected liberal government that wasn't doing the things that it said that it would do. It was still a dictatorship, but this dictatorship started doing, like, everyone was like, this dictatorship is going to do, it's going to be right wing, it's going to kill everyone, because there was an insurgency going on at the time, like a Cuban-style insurgency. By the way, this Cuban-style insurgency, Gonzalo said that no one should join it and that they were bourgeois. So yeah, another example of the sectarianism. So this government takes control under General Velasco. I don't remember his full name. And everyone thinks that they're going to be like a right-wing dictatorship, but then they immediately release all of the guerrilla prisoners. They immediately give amnesty to anyone who was fighting against the government. They immediately, literally, like I think the very day they took power, they seized all the oil fields from foreign companies. They nationalized something like 30 industries, the biggest nationalization in Latin American history, and you've never heard of it. Literally, by far the biggest. Every fucking thing you could possibly imagine. I think they even nationalized like cardboard manufacturing, stuff like that. They implemented the biggest land reform campaign in Latin American history, second biggest after Cuba. They did all of this stuff that everyone had wanted, and obviously it won them critical support from the basically all of the Peruvian left, including the Maoists, from Cuba, from the USSR, even from Mao's China. Mao was still alive at the time. And Guzman saw this as like a challenge to his hegemony, his leadership of the revolution, which according to him, was the only valid leadership of the revolution, even though Maoist China was fucking making friends with this government. So he called it fascist. He went on lengthy tirades against it all the time, tried to sabotage it as much as possible. And oddly enough, around this time, you know who was considered a CIA agent? Abimael Guzman, Comrade Gonzalo. Everyone thought that he was a CIA agent because he was the only one saying this shit. It seemed like he was just trying to be a massive wrecker. So, yeah. And I mean, again, the idea that the peasants were right-wingers is utterly absurd, because these peasants had just 5 years earlier been the beneficiaries of that land reform campaign from the Velasco government. And that did a lot to turn them left politically. So the fact that Sendero Luminoso went into these peasant communities that were already inclined to be sympathetic to the left, that had no state presence whatsoever, like they had basically free reign to do whatever they want. They had free reign to help these people in whatever way they want. And they chose to just impose themselves upon them with force. That is not revolution. That is not communist. That is not Marxist. That is just fucking cynical. That is terrible and awful. And it's not something that anyone should be looking up to. So, I actually think the land reform was bigger than Mexico's. At least I recently read a book that said that, though the book might have been wrong. But for South America, it was the biggest by far. And it came from nowhere. No one expected it. No one had, like, absolutely no one thought that this government would have been left-wing. Everyone thought they were going to immediately kill everyone on the left. And when they didn't, it was like, okay, the fuck? So yeah, basically those people are absolute... It sucks making a video on this topic because, like, you know, I want to be respectful to actual Peruvians. And it's difficult to do that because, like, I don't want to sound like I'm endorsing either side or anything like that. Because I've never met a Peruvian who was pro Shining Path. I mean, obviously they exist because initially there were a lot of them, or at least I think in total there were about 60,000 supporters of the Shining Path. That's the highest estimate that I've seen. Which, I mean, is it a lot? Yes. Does it make them a popular people's army? I mean, we're talking about a country that at the time I believe was 10, 15 million population, maybe higher. Let's look it up. Yeah, Peru had 22 million people in 1990. 50,000 is certainly a sizable amount. It's a good base to build off. But the notion that they represented the country, that this was a group that had broad popular support, is absurd. It's just not true. The fact that they were able to get so far is remarkable, of course. And they strategically, in terms of militarily, I'm not talking about peasant strategy at all, obviously. They definitely knew what they were doing. But we're talking 50,000 people total, 8,000 of those were fighters. That's not a popular movement. It is popular in the terms of that it's quite big, yeah, but popular as in representative of the population? No, not at all. Most of the population hated them, and, you know, rightfully so. I'm sorry. So, I think I'm going to do one more ad. I'm going to get a water. And then I'm going to come back and I'll play some stupid video game for like an hour or so while answering chat questions and stuff. Though that will be difficult because I don't have a second screen and I have to remember to look at my phone. I'm going to prop on my phone on something. There we go. That's better. How do I make it so my screen does not turn off? That's a good question. I don't know. Well, whatever. I'm going to fill my water and I'm going to open the video game. And you guys will see what it is. I'm going to start a great new campaign of this game. I'm going to get absolutely trashed. Trash as in, I'm going to lose the game. I'm not going to get drunk. Because, you know, as Comrade Gonzalo said, alcohol is bad and indigenous people are not allowed to drink it. He banned it in their towns. What a great guy. One moment. The screen is black right now, I know. I'm trying to do game capture. Oh, whatever, I don't need game capture. I can just do this. I'm going to turn off mods. Did it work? Yeah. All right. I'll be back in a second while this... I fucking hate vampire counts. They are so boring. Having only melee units... Basically, you just have melee units and magic, and that's it. I mean, the magic's strong, but you have one good spell, Wind of Death. Everything else is so boring. So I'll be back in a second. I do like Vampire Coaster. They are really fun, but you know, it's kind of too easy. The campaign mechanics are really overpowered. Hello. I am here. Do you guys see my face and everything in the corner? Is this working correctly? Hello. So I wanted to ask someone who knows more about the Chinese Revolution than me. When Mao got to a village and the peasants weren't receptive, did he kill them all? Yes or no? I'm pretty sure he didn't. Seems like something that he wouldn't do, though I don't know. Okay, so now I have my phone with the chat, and we're gonna go play a campaign. Can I do a poll in this chat? Is it possible?
I fight for the greater good.
Not possible, oh well. I think Vampire Coast is the most leftist faction because the zombies are like fucking hilarious. They love being crew, dude. They love being your crew. They can't get enough of it. Every time you click on them, they're like, always crew. Warms my heart. Okay, so Mao did not kill peasants. That's a good idea. Okay, let's have a vote in the chat. Yes, which one? Should I play Vampire Coast or Dark Elves? Leftist or right wing? Should we be fascists who enslave everyone, or egalitarian vampire pirates? I gotta admit, my favorite lord is Morathi. So I'm kind of a fascist. Okay, Dark Elves it is. I'm gonna play. I never play Legendary because the reason why I don't play Legendary is because I want to pause, and you can't pause on Legendary in battle. Because I'm an old fucking man and I'm really bad at micromanagement. So I kind of want to play just for the stream, but then I'm gonna fuck up in combat all the time. Very hard or Legendary? Morathi is not bad. Morathi is easily one of the best lords in the game. You just need to get... Like, you need to build her up. She's amazing at everything. Legendary or very hard? Which one? Okay, I'm gonna do Legendary. I never, ever play Legendary just because I don't like not having balance of power and pausing in combat. So, let's see. I don't like very hard battle though, because the enemy literally can never rout. Alright, I'm gonna suffer. I'm probably gonna lose in the first 10 turns, but we'll see. See, the problem with quoting Mao rather than looking at his actual actions is that Gonzalo said things like that as well. But obviously, what he actually did doesn't really add up. I know that Malekith is better than Morathi, but I like Morathi more. I like her faction more. I like the Chaos Corruption mechanic, and I like her as a lord. It's really fun as a lord in combat.
Dark blessings to you.
Alright. So the worst part about this faction is that you have nothing to do on your first couple of turns. What the fuck are you supposed to do? Who knows? Most factions you just kill someone immediately. So yeah, I don't remember what you're supposed to do. Definitely upgrade that.
I am Morathi.
This hero is really bad, the assassin, but I mean, I guess early game I should put him into my army. Yeah.
Anarian's bride. Let all
I remember nothing about this. Empanada gamer. We are gamers.
Ride, Solifet.
Ah, you go for this one first, don't you? Oh, whatever. I'm just gonna wing it. I remember.
Fear the dark.
The thing is, in this game, is like it's like kind of like chess. In like the first 5-10 turns, you basically do the same thing every time. But I don't remember what to do, so I'm just gonna wing it.
It is will.
So go here and recruit. So I want another melee. Nah, this is fine.
Is it time?
Is it? Am I losing? No, I'm not dropping any frames. Looks okay to me. We'll see in battle though. Maybe I'll turn the graphics down just to be safe. Because I never played this game while... I have played it while streaming and it was fine actually. Where do I turn the graphics down? Graphics, obviously. Let's go to high. Good enough. My computer's struggling. It's really hot. It's a shitty laptop. Well, it's not shitty. It's a good laptop, but...
Hag sorceress of growth.
Alright, that's turn 1 done. And 2 turns I can get a master hero. Do I have an opinion on Cardenas, Mexico? I mean, seems okay to me. I did learn a little bit about it a couple of years ago. But I mean, as far as Mexico goes, it was the best they had. But that's not saying that much.
I am Morathi.
Something that I find really funny in this game, they're Pokemon. They're fucking lords of Pokemon. They just say their name. First sorceress, yeah, okay.
I watch from the shadows.
Fucking narcissist. So I don't remember where the army
By my desire.
of these guys starts. I also don't remember if I'm supposed to keep recruiting before fighting it. Should I? Ah, whatever. YOLO. If I lose, we lose together.
Ambition makes haste.
I'm gonna ambush somewhere. Here.
I am going. As the grave.
Well,
We hide.
here we go, friends. Pretty sure I should have recruited for another turn before doing anything and just let them come to me.
The forest bends towards us.
So I'm pretty sure they're sitting in this settlement recruiting, and that sucks for me. And I'm also not in range to attack this turn.
Mother of the Druki. Plots to enact.
Oh, I should have used the hero.
Hatred drives
Yep.
me.
This has
Unthinkable.
walls, doesn't it? Oops.
Hag sorceress.
They're still mustering, so they're recruiting. They're not going to move next turn. This is the point where you restart your campaign because I should have kept recruiting. But you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the suboptimal thing. And if I go this way, they should follow me.
Ambition.
Hi. Can I afford a euro? Yep. AMLO. I hate that. I'm not a big fan of that. Do I want campaign, movement range, or disciplined? I think I want disciplined. It's better.
Master Druki. Master Druki.
Alright, boys, let's see what happens. If I lose, I can just stop the stream. That works. I'm not raiding. You can only raid if you raid, you lose 50% movement. Raiding is only good with orcs. Or greenskins as they call them. What I can do is kill this settlement and then recruit. Ah, but I can't, I don't have vision.
What test?
What are they doing?
Move. Seeking cruelty. Making good time.
They're doing fuck all.
The Sunderer.
Okay, let's go.
Don't hold back. Denied. For the Druki. To the vengeful slaughter.
Here we go, folks. It's time.
Dark shards.
I don't even know why I'm moving anything. There's like a tiny force.
Dark rider crossbow.
Marathi starts with some really bad units, like the worst possible hero for combat.
Nagarothi.
Witch elves who are good but die instantly.
Skilled murderesses.
Hydra's good, of course. And a bunch of dread spears. I don't remember what they do in this battle. If they come at me or what.
Dark shards. Eager for battle.
Dealers in death.
Let's fucking go, boys! Woohoo! Yeah, woo! We're gonna fight the enemy, kill him, and take some slaves. That's what you do when you're a leftist, obviously.
You rape them. Murder awaits.
Advance!
Dark rider crossbows. Advancing.
On the move. Going. A dark harbinger.
On.
Tala, forward! Death awaits!
Dark shards.
Go breathe fucking fire on those fuckers, yeah!
Dread spears. Going. Advancing.
Marathi!
Yeah,
Destruction
woohoo!
comes.
Moving out.
Oh shit, they're dying.
Up to murder! For Cain!
Dealers in death.
Why aren't they shooting? Oh fuck, they all
Orders
skirmish on.
understood. At once. With pleasure. We understand.
Why do they all have skirmish on? Fuck. Because I forgot to turn it off, obviously.
Terror and death. Die, weaklings. Dark shards. Red spears.
Mother
I should
of
probably
the
use spells. That's a good idea. I'm not good at this game without pausing. I'm already not good at this game.
Feel my fury!
These guys are just getting shot and I didn't notice.
Forward. Dark shards. Dealers in death. Druki, forward.
Yeah, we did it.
Dark shards.
Totally killing these fuckers.
Merciless host. Attack. Onward.
Pride to pay! Kin!
Cold-blooded killers. Merciless warriors.
Come with me! I move!
Elf on elf crime.
Vengeance awaits. Going now.
Just, hey, is it okay to enslave other slavers? Is that permitted?
Hunger.
Witch elves!
I hope that doesn't friendly fire. Okay, it's fine.
Hey!
Dark shards.
We did it. We won against an incredibly inferior force. Who got the most kills? It's, you know, whoever gets the most kills wins. It's the Witch Elves. They won. Now no one wants to watch this. You know what? Fuck video games. We're done with video games. Let's talk about politics again. I lost half my viewers playing video games. That means no one wants to watch them. What should we talk about? You know what we should do? We should name search me on Twitter. Ah, shit, but I have everyone who talks about me blocked, so you can't see it. So it's not as fun. Oh no, I could use an incognito window on Firefox. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Because what's going to happen is we're gonna like see like all the Shining Path people like having an absolute meltdown in that community over me right now. That community is like 100 people, but God, do they talk a lot. You can't search Twitter if you don't have an account? What the fuck? Okay, let's go to my own tweet. Okay. BadEmpanada's got, this is an old one from 14 hours ago. I already tweeted about it. BadEmpanada stream sniping. Ah, shit. Caleb Morgan is having a live stream about anti-imperialism while BadEmpanada is streaming CIA propaganda about China. If you guys are watching at the start, well, remember what I said about how even Chinese government statistics and Chinese government sources are CIA propaganda? There you go. Oh, no, that's the only one. No more. That's boring. Those people should be more fun. I'm not playing any fan-made meme about me because they are incredibly embarrassing and I don't want to die of embarrassment. I'm sorry. No, I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm saying that people making memes about me is very embarrassing for me. I mean, if you want to do it, that's fine. Share them amongst yourselves, but you know, if I see it, I'll probably be like, oh my God, that's me. No. Do I think gun ownership should be mandatory? No. Obviously not. I mean, forced gun ownership, not sure about that one. Sounds very interesting, but you know, it's a unique stance. Never heard that one before. Well, let's just say that you know, Justin Trudeau and I have a relation, you know, have some sort of relation between each other. Who knows what it is? Hold on, did someone give me a super chat that I missed? Nah, it's all the same. Super chat. I'm so sick of CIA propaganda against China, like looking at the Chinese government statistics and the things that their governors say. Ah, ha 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 ha. Mom, is the food ready? I don't think that any leader was based. I don't want to rate them on a scale of any or anything like that. It's not how I roll. I like people who do good things while they're doing good things, as long as they don't do bad things. That is my philosophy of life. How bad does my stream look, by the way? I'm streaming at 5,000 kilobytes a second. Is that high or low for a stream? I think it's about what my connection can handle. That's 5,000 kilobytes per second per second for the image and 192 for the audio. And this webcam makes me extremely red, but I can't change the colors. There's no way to alter the color balance. What are my thoughts on Trotsky? I don't know. Kind of went off the deep end, didn't he? I mean, if I judge Trotsky, it would be on his disciples, and God, there's no one more annoying than a Trot. No one more sectarian who just find, like, people who basically just try to find things to be mad at all the time. Nothing more. They try to find things to be mad at about other leftists. I have to specify. There's lots of things to be mad at in the world, but the things that they are mad at are like, you know, the like the other Trot party that's splintered from 5 other Trot parties that has 8 people left in it is you know, traitors to the revolution or whatever. That's Trotskyism, as far as I'm concerned. How do I change color balance? Let's see. I need to lower the reds. Hello everyone, I'm editing my thing right now. There's color space and color range. What if I do partial? No, it's the same. Partial is default. There's no yeah, there's no color balance that I can see, at least for my webcam. There is gain, exposure. I mean, I can reduce the contrast a bit, or the saturation. Let's see. Oh, hey folks, what's up? I'm a vampire. Oh, that's not flattering. Hey folks, what's going on? Are you guys seeing this? Am I the only one who's seeing my camera right now? Caleb Morpin mode, folks. I mean, I like Hakim's take on the Middle East, but he's literally just one of the people who spouts Chinese government propaganda. Oh, it's okay. You know, they made these camps because they're terrorists and they deserve it. No other reason. I lost a lot of respect for him. Contrast. Oof. Default in this camera looks good. It just has too much red. All right. You know, I should probably look up topics before I get this stream. I'll have someone to talk to. Someone interesting to talk to. Is there anyone interesting that I could talk to? I don't know anyone, so I don't know. I mean, I talk for Vosh literally any time, but Vosh, I've been, I don't know what he's doing. What's he doing on his stream? Let's watch Vosh's stream on our stream. That's definitely not going to destroy my internet. YouTube's. You guys are going to see my recommendations. Wait, I want to show you my YouTube recommendations. They're probably funny. Michael Brooks, that's a good one. Myself? Yeah. Okay. Bunch of gaming. This guy is really good. Noah Caldwell Gervais. He makes video games sound cool when they're not. That's a huge compliment. Video games are terrible. Let's look at Vosh. Gotta set up my phone chat again. Back to finish the game. Vosh has more important things to do than talk to me. He's got Black Mesa going on. But he's also like me in that he gets no viewers when he starts playing video games. Absolute coward. Absolute coward. Playing video games instead of having a nice chat with BadEmpanada. 0 out of 10. And then I just leave. Drive by. How isn't empanada terrible? It's like a pastry. You just put stuff in it. It's as good as what's inside it. If Vosh would love to talk to me, well, I DM'd him. I'd like to school him on some issues. Like, for example, dude, the man bun, you shouldn't have that. It's illegal. Please get rid of it. That's about it. Someone sent a super chat. What was it? That is Brazilian currency, and I cannot read it yet. Here it is. Hello from Brazil. Have you seen the Motorcycle Diaries? Yeah, I have. It's a really good movie. It's very faithful to the book. A lot of right-wingers hate it, but that's not a bad thing. I feel like it's a sort of movie that someone should be able to watch and enjoy, even if they are a right-winger, because this is what happened beforehand. You should be, I think it's important that you are able to understand how your political opponents get to where they are, even if you don't agree with what happened next, because, I feel like anyone who had the experience that Che did in his trip around Latin America and what happened to him in Guatemala would come out being pretty fucking left-wing and pretty fucking convinced about what needs to be done. That's another reason why, these people who shit on Peruvian peasants for opposing the Shining Path. When you look at what the Shining Path did to them, you can understand why they sought out training from the military, why they wanted to protect their communities. It wasn't because they were literal fascists who wanted to hail Hitler. Okay? Same sort of thing with the Che movie. If you can't understand how he got to where he did and how the injustices of Latin America and the coup in Guatemala got him there, then you're not worth engaging with. If I make a stream in Spanish, the thing is, my Spanish-speaking viewers all speak English as well. So, I'm just excluding people if I speak Spanish. What do I want to talk to Vosh about? We can talk about international stuff. I feel like, with the terrible passing of Michael Brooks, it's very important that Vosh and other people gain a better understanding of international issues. And, I don't focus on any one country. If anything, I try to avoid talking about the US and stuff like that as much as possible, and the countries that everyone talks about in English anyway. Why do I hate Vosh? It might be that I hate his fans more than him. I might have gotten the perception that his fans reflect him. I don't know. But I honestly don't know that much about him. I barely watched him. But his fans are basically stalk me, and whenever I say anything, they post a screenshot of it on their forum, regardless of how completely reasonable my take is. Let's talk Israel, Palestine. It's not a very complicated issue. What you do is you destroy the Israel and you replace it with the Palestine. Easy. That doesn't mean destroy the Israelis, by the way. It means destroy the state of Israel. Oh yeah, I remember what it is now. The fact that they even use the term woke scold is very bad because Ben Shapiro coined the term woke scold. So appropriating a term from Ben Shapiro to weaponize against other leftists is a bit, Am I Peronist? No. Peronist is not a leftist ideology. The Eastern Mediterranean? What's in the Eastern Mediterranean? Is it Turkey? And Cyprus? Eastern. Yeah, it is. In Greece? Alberto Fernandez is like center left. The thing with the modern Peronists is that they have no fucking idea how to do optics. They are they're really bad at it. Like Alberto Fernandez is like the kind of guy who as president will reply to people on Twitter saying, "Fuck you, you son of a bitch." It's hilarious. It's hilarious, but I mean, it gives people easy ammo to use against him. I'm fine with being called a tanky. I don't think tanky is an insult. I think it's overused because it's incredibly overused because people, I'm as far as I'm aware, I'm the person who, in this stupid little left YouTube sphere that we have, I'm probably the person who is most vocal and most consistent with applying my principles. And there are plenty of other people who consider themselves Marxist-Leninists and stuff like that who do the same. So to just brand everyone who isn't like an anarchist or tanky is fucking stupid. And, not even that. I think that I would probably qualify to most people as a tanky. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. And I don't think most people think it's a bad thing either. But usually when people think about tanky, they're thinking about those people who are much worse. And you just kind of blob everyone together when there's no nuance. The serfs, I love the serfs. The serfs actually came to Argentina and visited me last year in November. Right, Kyle Kalinske is not a tanky. Kyle Kalinske is a fucking sockdem. What are you talking about? I mean, defending Stalin, I can understand people taking issue with that, but defending Tito, Tito and Stalin are not the same. There is nowhere near as long as a list of shit to be mad at Tito about as there is a Stalin. Yeah, Lenz's dad was Chilean, indigenous Chilean, I believe, or I'm not sure if his indigenous side is Chilean or Canadian. One of those two. But yeah, interesting. He was supposed to go to Chile, I think, for his birthday or something. And he ended up coming here because I think the protests in Chile made it impossible. I don't remember. Yeah, I mean, at least as far as I know, the bad shit that happened in Yugoslavia was post-Tito. When I say bad shit, I'm not saying bad shit didn't happen beforehand, but the really bad stuff, like the sort of genocide sort of stuff happened after he was gone. Because I don't know, I guess it is certainly a problem that the state relied on him so much that once he was gone, it all went to shit, but, What's the best place to eat in Buenos Aires? My favorite place is a cafe it's an Australian cafe, Australian themed. It's run by Argentines, called Surrey Hills. in Palermo. Other than that, there's Herin, which is the best pizza place in all of Argentina. The best bakery is El Secreto de la Niña de Oro on Avenida Santa Fe. I don't know how to use two. I used to. It's how I learned, but when you spend a lot of time living in a place, you're going to pick up the dialect and you can't help it. I do sometimes like conjugate poorly, but people don't notice. Like, I think I'm bad at properly pronouncing lost conjugations. Like, I don't stress the last syllable properly. What's happening with COVID in Argentina? I don't know, man. It's getting fucked up. Like, where I am in Mendoza, it's not so bad. Like, you can go out every 2 days according to the last number on your ID card or your passport. But in Buenos Aires, shit is going to shit. Absolutely going to hell. So, yeah, I think, I don't know, there was lots of people who broke quarantine. The government didn't help people who were stuck in quarantine enough. It's been really hard for people to get their payments. I have a friend who has been able to get her, you get like 10,000 pesos every 2 months from the government. That's what? That's like, I think it's, how much is that right now? 300 bucks, 250 bucks? It's fucking nothing. You know, people, if you want people to stay inside, you need to give them more money so that they can actually do so without starving. The Italian food in Argentina isn't authentic Italian food, unless you go to an actual Italian restaurant. Oh yeah, it's like 100 and I think at the official rate it's like 170, 70. I don't know math. It's 70 per dollar, 110 or so per with the unofficial rate. The Italian food in Argentina, as I was talking about, it's better than in other places. The best part of it is that in Argentina, they everywhere has like a fresh pasta shop where you can just go and buy fresh homemade pasta, which is great, amazing. I've never seen that before I came here. Reopening schools while COVID is spiking. Obviously, don't do that. That's a bad idea, and I think that's something that should not be encouraged. Hold on, it's time to check out the complaints about my stream on Twitter. Please tell me there's more. Please tell me there's more. I love it when people complain about me. It's how I survive. It's I get my life force of people yelling about me. There's no one. Sad days. Have you guys heard about what's going on in Bolivia? So, in Bolivia, one second, I'm trying to find it. So, in Bolivia, they delayed the elections again until the middle of October, I believe. It was originally September, and before that it was May, blah, blah, blah. And the person who did this was the president of the Electoral Commission, who was appointed by Áñez in the first week of her presidency. So very obviously done at the behest of the government. A practice that usually has, by convention, usually goes through the approval of the Senate, but they didn't do this time. Obviously, because they want more time to what you call it, to prosecute the opposition candidate, Luis Arce. Luis Arce. That's how I'm going to call it, because he's going to win if they don't. So yeah, that's basically it. Bolivia has had an unelected government for 8 months, an unelected interim government for 8 months. Man, the pandemic was really convenient for them, wasn't it? Gives them a perfect excuse to just perpetuate themselves in power as they arrest and prosecute all their opponents. You know? Turns out that COVID is actually a right-winger. Do I think Bolivia will get couped again if Mas wins the election? I mean, I don't think they will be allowed to take power to get couped if Mas wins the election. I think what will happen if they win is that there will be some officially justified bullshit that happens to nullify the election or something like that, as they did last time. Hold on, I'm reading something. Very important tweets that require my immediate attention. I must argue with the Gonzaloites. And then block them. Okay, here I am, I'm back. Revolutionary stream. Someone asked Vorsh in chat why he's scared of debating me right now. Why is he playing a video game to avoid debating the BadEmpanada? Tell him he would get many more views if I was on his stream than if he had a video game on his stream. Why don't you stream on Twitch? I mean, I don't have any followers on Twitch. I wouldn't get any viewers. I also don't have partnership on Twitch, so I can get super chats and stuff here, but I can't get anything on Twitch. And baby, I want money. I'm an opportunist. I'm gonna make that money. I'm grifting you all. Everything I say is face. Everything I say is fake. It's all a persona to grift you. Do I like Australia? No. No. What do I think about the crackdown on protesters in the US? Well, how does it feel? You like it? That's what you do to everyone else. That's how I feel about it. Pac-Man has ignored me, and when people talk to him about me, he pretends he doesn't know who I am. So yeah. I would absolutely brutalize him. I am 100% sure. Whenever he talks about another country, he doesn't know anything about it. He would get totally, absolutely destroyed. Like the shit that he said about how Macri is good a couple of years ago, and his stuff on Bolivia. Oh, it's so easy to deal with. So simple. I could like just read shit verbatim, like sources verbatim after him. I mean, I don't think Vorsh needs to be convinced that a populist movement can improve material conditions unless you're talking about Trump or some shit, because I've seen him talk about Evo Morales and he talked about him positively. And that's a populist movement by what people say. I mean, I do have an Aussie accent. I think you just expect me to sound like Crocodile Dundee putting a shrimp on the barbie. How do you trigger Argentines? It depends on the social class. If you walk past a rich Argentine, you say "volvimos." You say "volvimos" like "volvimos." If you it's a poor Argentine, something about football. That's my stereotypes. I mean, everyone in general, something about the Falklands or about Maradona or Messi or someone like that. Actually, no, they hate Messi now. So someone else. Just football. What's my view on Odea? I mean, they've gone off the deep end in the last couple of years. But I'm not going to pretend that the opposition wouldn't just sell the country off to the neoliberals. They hate Messi because they expect him to win every international tournament by himself. You know, people have the perception that he tries harder for his club than his country, when it's just that the national team isn't as good as his club. The right-wing dictatorships in Latin America, Pinochet, I mean, I think it's just because he's most associated with the US. And he was also, like, there for the longest time. The other ones, you know, they change leaders and stuff like that. Well, he was there as the leader for basically the whole time. How long was it? He was there for what? 17, 18 years? 16? Do my neighbors grow bananas? No. All the bananas here are from Ecuador. I've never seen Argentine bananas. I mean, I think in Peru, people didn't care much about the national team until very recently. It's a very new thing because the national team has actually gotten good results and played really well in the last 10 years or so. But before that, not really. So, yeah. I mean, I hate River because the rich man's club, the bougie club, and I hate Boca because their president was Macri. So I hate everyone. I don't know anything about Steve Bannon in Argentina. Fernet con coca is just vodka with coke. I can't tell the difference. My critique of anarchism, I don't know. For that, you should just watch J-Reg. I don't know anything about Tame Impala. I don't know anything about Australian musicians. Yeah, he's definitely based. That's how I describe it. Evo Morales, based. Buddy, have you ever tried vodka? Vodka also has a very strong taste. The IRA are epic and did nothing wrong. Vosh is talking about Morales, but I guess he can't have me on, you know. Who's my current favorite president? I don't like any president right now. I wouldn't say I like any of them. They're all shitty in their own unique way. I mean, what's going on in Cuba with the new president there is very interesting, but he hasn't really done anything yet. It'll be interesting to see what he changes when he really changes something. And trying to read the press releases of the Cuban government are ridiculous, because when the Cuban government releases when there's like an important session of their parliament that happens, that when they give you a press release, the press release tells you literally every single thing they said, everything, not just the important stuff, everything. So I have to like wait a couple of weeks for the international media to pick up on it before I can really find out what the fuck they've been doing. Do I think COVID will accelerate the United States geopolitical decline? I mean, I think Trump is getting desperate for distractions, obviously, isn't he? He's failing. He knows it. He doesn't really have much time left to do anything unless the elections are postponed or some shit like that. Viktor Orban, I mean, he's a piece of shit, but don't know much about Hungary to comment. I mean, I'm not planning to move to Cuba. I was just planning to visit there for a video. That was if I got 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year, which, well, might have been a bit optimistic. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. I think I've gained 10,000 subscribers since I said that in like 4 months. So yeah, maybe not going to happen. Maybe not going to end up. Is my audio desynced? Hi. I can't tell. Anyway. Hold on, I'm investigating my desync that I just invented in my head. No, it's not. It's fine. So, yeah. Well, I mean, it's great that they have hammer and sickle symbols in their stadium, in the Hapoel Tel Aviv stadium. But unfortunately, you know, there's not going to be a Tel Aviv for much longer. You know, when you know, when take it over, it's going to be renamed. So yeah. I'll be talking to the smooth-brained Vorsh when he stops dodging me. People have tried to tell me to speak to Vorsh for so long. Here I am, ready to go anytime, any place. And there's nothing. There's nothing. Suddenly, after all this time, you know, I'm being dodged. I should actually find a topic to talk about that's interesting. But I have nothing. I mean, I'll speak to like anyone whose clout I can leech off. That's my my criteria. I want that clout for me. I want to grift harder. You know, I'm the only one who'll be honest with you about that. I'm here to grift. I'm only here to make money. I mean, I'm already making a lot of money from you know, some of my friends who, let's just say, you know, their first name is Agent, you know. But yeah, I'm a grifter. That's what this is all about. I'm sorry. I mean, I came to Vorsh for debates. There's a DM waiting for him. I told him we can talk about international stuff because I know that he said that he wants to learn more about it after Michael Brooks died, and he hasn't responded to me yet. But he responded to an earlier DM from me, so I know that he has read my DMs. So I don't know. I mean, the Whitlam coup, I don't know if there's not enough evidence for that still, even after they released the palace documents, but it is a possibility. Domestic, why would I debate Vorsh on domestic? I don't know nearly enough about the USA, and I honestly don't care. If Vorsh wants to ask me why I disliked him at first, well, he can come to me. He can come to me and we'll talk about it. Coronism is... How about we make Marxism, Leninism, Coronism? Everyone must have COVID. That is the state ideology. I mean, we don't have to debate. That's a thing. I don't understand why everyone thinks we have to debate. Why do we need to argue about something? Why can't we talk about something, you know, and inform his audience while informing him at the same time? We don't need to have some sort of incredible disagreement. I mean, the only thing that I made the Guns, Germs and Steel video because every 2 days I get a comment saying, oh, on my Columbus video, I get a comment saying, knowing better is correct, read Guns, Germs and Steel. So I read it. And it's like, wow, this book literally has 0 citations. This book does not have a single footnote. Are you fucking kidding? Gee, oh my God, it's not even a history book. It's not even an exercise in academic research. It's just like, if I didn't have to cite anything, it's so easy to write if you don't have to cite anything. It's so simple. Like, if I wrote from memory, I could finish a script in like a 10,000 word script in 2 hours easily. No problem. Instead, I'm here and I've finished 4,000 words of what's going to be a 10,000 word script in a week. And I haven't even finished it yet. And it's been like a week since I've released my last video. And I already feel like I'm behind. So yeah. It's another thing, like making videos with huge gaps between them fucking sucks, man. Because especially during quarantine where I need to be at home all the time. Because I end up like sitting at home every second day, and it's like I could be working, but I'm not working. Ah, shit. And then when I try to work, I can't work effectively because all that I've been doing is working for the last, since quarantine began, just working on videos. So it's difficult. There's a lot of pressure to release shit, to get shit out as soon as possible. And it's not even real pressure. Like, no one's pressuring me. It's just how it feels. I mean, I don't know. I don't think burnout exists. Burnout is something that people kind of like just use to justify the fact that they're not interested in what they're doing anymore. I'm interested in what I'm doing. I talk about it all fucking day on Twitter. Obviously, I'm interested in it. It's just like, you know, when you release a video and then when you release a video, you know, it gets a lot of views for like 2 or 3 days and then everything goes back to before. It's like nothing happened. And it's like, oh, shit, I need to make a new video so that people don't forget that I exist. That's like the YouTuber's dilemma. If you're a YouTuber like me, you make a video every 3 weeks or every month or so. That's what it's like. Hate my voice, but would like to make videos. Well, I hate my voice, and I'm making videos. I don't know. When I'm recording a video, it feels so alien to me. Like, I don't talk normally at all. I talk like really weird, and I look so like intently into the camera, and it's just fucking weird. It's not completely unnatural, but I get it done somehow. And I have this shitty microphone, which is a stage mic that I use, but it sounds good, and I see no reason to change it. You know, I used to feel like I needed to upgrade all of my streaming, my video stuff every 2 days. Upgrade. Like, I went through 3 cameras in a year. I have a ton of microphones, like 5 microphones. And then eventually, like, I started downgrading. I started downgrading to what was most convenient. I went to like the camera that had the best image quality, but it was really inconvenient to use. So I went to the camera that can record for the longest time without overheating and without meaning to do anything. And with a microphone, I went from like using a big fuck off professional condenser microphone to the first microphone that I bought, which is this one. Just because it's more convenient, because it's a dynamic microphone. It colors my voice. It colors your voice more by itself, you know, without you having to do anything, and it rejects more background noise and stuff like that. You know, it's a less natural of a sound, but it sounds better anyway. So why the fuck? It's just way more simple than doing what I was doing before. It's also tiny. Like, it looks big because it's near the camera, but it's not that big, like that. It's like as long as my hand. I mean, I have gain because I have this thing, the fat head. That's the silverish thing that you see between the thing and the cable. It gives it like 20 decibels of gain, and it reduces the self noise a lot. Why do you find my voice hypnotizing? That's creepy. Help me. Okay. So, the dudes... Yeah, I think I addressed that question, but what else is there about production? I mean, in my thingy that I made, like, I made a 25k subscriber special, and there I talk about my gear and stuff more. I still have everything that I have in that video I still have. Nothing's changed. So yeah. I mean, I watch SBN3 and Podcastage because when I wanted to buy stuff, they were the best channels to figure out what I wanted to buy. And now I just watch them because it's like, you know, why not? It's nice to see the comparisons and stuff of microphones. And SBN3 is just a very talented guy who... He's a huge asshole, but I mean, he's still fun to watch. And he's also not very funny, but he thinks he's very funny. But he's still extremely talented at his production, so I'm not going to talk bad about him. I mean, even this whatever you're hearing right now, it's going to be much lower quality than an actual audio recording, because this is compressed through my encoder down to 100. It's through the shitty encoder, which is AAC, down to 192 kilobytes per second. But my videos that I upload to YouTube, at least the initial file, they're completely uncompressed. I render with a format called 32-bit float, which is basically a completely uncompressed format. And so the audio bitrate is like half of the video. So this definitely does not sound as good as my videos, but probably close. In Argentina, weed is still illegal in most places. I don't even know where to buy weed here, and I don't really care, honestly. Was Stalin responsible for the Ukrainian famine of... That's a very... Firstly, I want to note the Ukrainian famine of 1932 to 33. It wasn't only a Ukrainian famine, but was Stalin responsible? Yeah, I mean, in any famine, the head of state is the first person who's responsible. Especially when you consider the response. I have not seen any historian, even those who say that Stalin didn't do it intentionally, who does not say that he still is to blame in some significant capacity. The argument that the ones who call it that it wasn't a genocide make is that it wasn't intentional, but the response was at best incompetent and at worst intentionally callous. What other left-wing YouTubers do I recommend? Saying that something is recognized as a genocide is kind of meaningless, because these things are generally recognized as a genocide by the countries where they happen. And I can understand that, obviously, in Kazakhstan and Ukraine, you know. But does that mean that they were intentionally wiped out by the evil Stalin? I don't know. Don't read Grover Fur. Whatever you do, don't read Grover Fur. There's much more reasonable historians who say that it's not a genocide. But it's still, you know, since the opening of the Soviet archives, I would say that it's half-half. Like, there's those who are clinging to the genocide thesis, and there's those who are saying it wasn't a genocide, but still the response was shitty, and the shitty response might have been motivated by something more nefarious. Most people don't think it was on purpose, but they still try to say that it was a genocide. I don't know. The thing with 32-bit is it gives you more room to edit and stuff, and also if you record in 32-bit, especially if you peak or something, it doesn't matter. I don't understand it. I don't get the technical way, but if you like peak with a 32-bit audio recording, you can recover it and it will be perfect. If you record it at like 0 gain, you can boost it and it'll be perfect. I don't understand how it works, but it's incredible. I mean, I'm not particularly fond of the term genocide and the technical definitions of it. I don't think if something is called a genocide, that makes it worse. You know, like, is like 1 million people being murdered, for example, just nothing in particular. Say 1 million people are murdered. Is that worse if we say it was a genocide versus by this technical legal definition versus not? No. But people act like, if I can prove this extremely terrible thing was not technically genocide, that's it. Owned, it's done. That's all they need, because we give so much power to the genocide term. And that's sad. That's another video that I wanted to make. I just talked about Miguel Diaz-Canal a second ago, and I was like, we don't really know enough about him. I find it kind of interesting how Cuban officials are just suddenly on Twitter in the last 2 years all of a sudden. So I think that's definitely something that he did. I think they're trying to be more open, engage with the world a bit more than before. By engage with the world, I mean, they were already doing it, but I mean like on the internet, through using all the tools they have available to them, like social media. Something that they haven't really done before. They've really let the US and Europe control the narrative about Cuba. So it's good that they're on social media all of a sudden. They also tweet in English a lot. One person who you should follow, who I respect a lot, is a Cuban intellectual called what's his name? Abel Diaz Pareto, I think. I have to Google. Abel Prieto. Prieto. He's on Twitter. I don't know if it's actually him, but it's an account in his name. It's very weird. Like none of the Cuban accounts tweet like, I don't know. They don't really tweet in a natural way. It seems like they just retweet stuff. I've never seen him give his own opinion, but he is someone who I've watched documentaries of and stuff, and he gives very good explanations for example, why there was never any big protests in Cuba beyond just, the government would have killed them all. I mean, Cuba right now does not have much of a surveillance state, and they couldn't afford it even if they wanted to. Most of the websites in Cuba does block some websites, but most of the websites that are blocked nowadays are blocked because they're American websites or American companies that aren't allowed to trade with Cuba. So they're not blocking them. It's the US that's blocking them. Australia should not exist. All Australians must go back to Europe. Yeah. I don't like politics. Politics is terrible. I absolutely despise politics. I wish I didn't know that politics exists. The absolute best possible thing for me would be is if I just never cared. I'm not getting clipped. It's green. Owned. But the absolute best possible thing for me would be if politics simply did not exist and I never had to think about it ever again. That's my opinion. I am a lesbian. I mean, liking politics doesn't make you brave. It makes you stupid. You should hate every second of doing politics. You should hate every second of you having to campaign for the most basic shit for human beings. You should hate that you have to do that. You should hate that we live in a world where that's necessary. If you enjoy it, there's something wrong with you. That doesn't mean that it's not worthy. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. The fact that we do it anyway, that makes us stronger, doesn't it? I mean, genocide, as far as I'm concerned, is best just used to mean like a series of large series of mass murders, like say some government kills like 100 people in individual instances 100 times in a year. I don't care if it was a national group of protected people or whatever. I don't care if it's technically genocide. Why wouldn't we denounce that with the absolute worst label that we have, which is genocide? That's because that's what genocide means to people. It doesn't mean the technical UN definition of genocide. It just means the absolute most, the strongest announcement that we have. I have a thing in my hair. The absolute strongest possible announcement that we have in the English language against what happened. So by trying to deny it from certain events based on technicalities like the UN definition of genocide, all that's accomplished is just a convenient way to ignore, to get not apply the label to something that you want. The BadEmpanada debate will happen when Vorsh gets back to me on it. I mean, I want to just reply to Marcus XC94 because I think I'm not laughing at you. I just think it's a really funny thing to say. He said, "What are your thoughts on the Jimmy Dore show platforming grey zone guys as legit foreign policy experts?" I just want to say, did you notice beforehand that Jimmy Dore is kind of the same as them? Because he is. So I think that's what I would expect. I expect Jimmy Dore to platform the grey zone as legitimate foreign policy experts. That's a normal thing. Empanada Morpin debate. Have you seen Morpin trying to argue with people? He just goes off the rails and accuses you of shit that you clearly don't believe in. The fact that he just cannot say trans women are women, trans men are men, non-binary people are valid. It clearly shows that there's something down there that makes him not want to say it. And his audience is... Jason Unruh is just a meme. He knows that he's a meme too. Let him be a meme. Nothing wrong with that. He's hilarious. There's a difference between Jason Unruh, who is like a meme who embraces the meme, and Caleb Morpin, who is like this incredibly overly serious guy who thinks he's like a prize-winning incredible journalist who everyone should listen to, who's leading the proletariat vanguard. Hey, do you guys remember what was that Twitch streamer? And she was like, oh my God, guys, why don't you give me money? You guys are so cheap. I'm giving you free entertainment. You don't give me money. That's me right now. Guys, I'm working so hard right now. I'm in a children's bedroom in a rented Airbnb that I can't wait to leave, talking to you at 1:25 a.m. Is this not worthy of incredible payment? Am I a gamer? No. I didn't play games for like 10 years, and then I started playing Total War Warhammer 2 recently, a little bit, and I hope to stop playing it as soon as possible. I don't want to leave Argentina, but I might. I know it's going to happen. Serpent, South Africa guy, he's firmly in the Lao Y89 sphere, which means that they are white libertarians living in China who hate everything about China. They despise China, But they just can't shut up. They have nothing else. Their job is just to shit on China all the time. I did kind of find it, one of Serpent's videos was funny, where he talked about the riots, the anti-immigrant riots in South Africa. And I found it funny that this white South African guy, like I think he's British South African, not Boer. And he was like talking about the Boers, and he was trying to apologize for them. But he was still like, he couldn't. He was like gritting his teeth like, yeah, so in South Africa, the Boers are like, they're born racist. It's in their bones. They're the most racist people in the entire world. Even that guy could not help but admit it. I thought that was really funny. Thank you, my videos are highly quality. Well, they better be with how much shit I put into them. How much effort I put into them. Oh, it hurts. Making videos sucks ass. I mean, I don't want to. I have it way easier than most of you guys who actually have to work with your hands and do real people's work. But I mean, for me, it hurts because I'm a little fucking baby. It's like I want to complain, but I feel like I shouldn't complain because the shit that I do is easy in comparison to what most people do. How long have I been streaming? Almost 3 hours. Maybe I should stop and actually go to sleep. That might be a good idea. What's the worst empanada I ever had? The empanada is from El Noble, which is El Noble. It's El Noble in English pronunciation. Is fucking awful. It's an empanada chain, and you can tell very clearly that they just get them frozen and then cook them. Those are the worst empanadas in the entire world. Well, I mean, I don't think my videos are bad. I know they're good. It's just I don't like how it takes me like a month to finish a good video. Like my next video, I don't know. I don't think I'll have it out for at least 2 or 3 weeks, and that hurts. It's like, because right now I don't get any views. Wait, I'll show you my YouTube thingy. Oh, I have to like log in and show you my email. No, I'm not doing that. Bye. But I mean, right now I get about 2,500 views per day across all my videos. How many videos do I have? I don't know actually. Across all my videos, I get 2,500 views. And I have like 40 videos, I think, on my main channel. Something like that. So but when I upload a video, I suddenly get 20,000 views in a day. Or, less sometimes, and it's like, man, so I feel a lot of pressure to make videos because I don't get any views when I haven't made a video recently. I mean, I don't need people to help me edit and write scripts. I don't think that would help at all. I think it would just make things way more complicated than they need to be. I mean, the Chinese are actually a scapegoat across Southeast Asia. It's the same thing in Indonesia, less so in Malaysia, but in Indonesia, absolutely. Hold on, I think I might have gotten some super chats. Do you like the Beatles? I mean, I guess. Why not? I don't really think about them. Don't really know much about the songs other than the ones that you can't avoid. And thank you, Ivan Schall, for the 5 cents. Very generous. What am I reading? I mean, I have to read so much for my videos that I don't really read for pleasure anymore, unfortunately. It just takes all the fun out of it when you do it for work as well. I've had that problem. I mean, that's not a problem unique to YouTube. I had that problem when I was studying as well. I just don't want to read because I read so much already. I mean, Chinese aren't everywhere. It's just they're the biggest country in the world. So, of course, their immigrants are more visible than other countries because there's just more of them. You know, Chinese immigrants are everywhere. That's something that, you know, one of the most familiar experiences for me in every country that I go to is going to Chinatown. Every country has a Chinatown. And I haven't been to a bad Chinatown ever. So, at least for me, as a random white bougie, is that having Chinese immigrants everywhere is fucking great. Chinese people are like the most adventurous people in the world. You go fucking everywhere, and they're always there. Though unfortunately, actually in Argentina, I read that because of racism over COVID, a lot of Chinese people are going back to China. Because no one wants to buy from their stores anymore. Chinatown is a fucking ghost town. Everyone is a fucking moron who thinks they're going to get COVID if they go to Chinatown. And it sucks because the Buenos Aires Chinatown is fucking a great one. I mean, it's not the best. LA Chinatown, I went to that as well. That was much better, but it was really nice. It's the same in Cuba. I think there's no Chinese people in the Cuban Chinatown. The Lima Chinatown is really nice as well. What do I think of Falun Gong? I mean, they're obviously a really weird cult. They were legitimately oppressed, but I mean, you can't trust them. You can't. But they were, and I believe maybe some of them still are, legitimately oppressed by the Chinese state. But now they've kind of transformed into like this transnational anti-China propaganda organization. And it's really creepy. That's what I think about them. I mean, I would prefer that Argentina trade more with Brazil than China, but it's not that bad of a thing. Especially because I feel like Argentina is a place that desperately needs cheaper electronics. So if they could get Chinese electronics here for the people who can't afford anything because of the import tariffs on electronics, that would probably help. I mean, the organ harvesting claim, I don't know if it's true or false, but either way, the stuff that happened to them was terrible either way. They didn't need to have been organ harvested. I feel like they exaggerate terrible things that happen to them to try and make them sound more ridiculous to get more attention. I think Lula would destroy Bolsonaro in an election, but I don't know if he's going to be allowed to run. And there's still a long time until the election, isn't there? I mean, from what I understand, the Chinese government did harvest the organs of executed prisoners. And they say that they didn't do it intentionally, that there were people who would have been executed anyway. But the problem with that is that you obviously, by harvesting the organs of executed prisoners without them signing off on it, you create an incentive to execute people. And that's obviously not something that you want the state to have. So whether it happened or not, it was kind of shitty to have that policy. If it's even true, I mean, honestly, I'm not sure. I didn't know about them saying that they had special master race organs. That's great. That's amazing. I mean, it sounds like a joke, but it's real. What's going to happen with the trade war? I mean, Biden is an idiot. I don't know. Lots of British people are being radicalized and joining terror factions in Syria as well. Should they be thrown into concentration camps en masse? Obviously not. I mean, I think the plebiscite for the Chilean constitution will probably pass because the protests, at least that part of the protest, is very popular. But I don't know what that actually means, what it will look like. Because if there's a constitutional convention, who fucking knows how it could go, especially because the Conservatives have a majority right now. I'm not sure how the Chilean Constitutional Convention would work. I'm not sure if it would be like a I think it would be a newly elected body, wouldn't it? Like, you would get to vote for who would be a part of it, rather than it just being the people who are there already. So I don't know, it might work out. Depends on how that vote would go. Because I'm pretty sure actually getting a new constitution, just the process, like voting for a new constitution doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a good one. It depends on, how the constitution looks and who gets to have a say on it. But I mean, it'll be hard to have, to be fair though, it'll still be hard to have one that's worse than the one that they have right now. I mean, half of them having to be women is just, that's just peak liberal sort of identity politics. Like limiting who people can vote for based on anything. The only time where I think that's a good thing is in countries where there's for example, indigenous minorities that at the very fucking least should have a guaranteed seat in parliament. I mean, I don't know. I gotta say, I don't know much about Quebec, but I do know that all other Canadians hate it. And I mean, from what I understand, it's disproportionately very conservative, but at the same time, it's also a place with a linguistic minority, and everyone else in the country hates them just because they're a linguistic minority, and everyone else in the country despises them because they think that having a significant linguistic minority in that country is some sort of affront to them. And I mean, I definitely support Quebec, trying to keep the French, the use of French alive there, because there's nothing wrong with that. They might be a bit too hard on it at times, but I mean, when you have like a hostile audience in the rest of the country, maybe it's warranted. Why do I dislike Bald and Bankrupt? Dude, like, come on. His videos are like peak sex tourist. It's so, there's always a subtext of sex tourism. And he also had, he used to post on like the Roosh V forums talking about how he basically took a woman out into the forest. Like he met a woman on Tinder in some poor village, took her out to the middle of the forest, then he was like, hey, suck my dick or I won't drive you home. So yeah, as I said, there's a strong vibe of sex tourism in his videos, and there is a strong vibe of sex tourism in him. That's what he is. He's a sex tourist who films his sex tourism in between the sex tourism. So yeah. I didn't realize that Quebec was like progressive. I guess it's just the perception of them being shitty. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if I've just been influenced by the propaganda of the rest of there's the immigration part. Yeah, I didn't read that part. Yeah. So it's like socialism for us, but not for anyone else. Canada is worse at managing COVID than the US? That's a funny assertion. Interesting. You know, I just realized that I've been recording the entire time while streaming. I didn't notice. Interesting. What do you do if one of your country is one of the main American destinations for sex tourism? Well, ban all Americans, for one. Why did I come to Argentina? Well, I came here to study. And, I came here for an exchange semester, not to study. And I was going to do a master's here. But then I decided to do YouTube instead. And I just stayed. And it was epic. I couldn't choose Uva. Because my university had a partnership with Tetela. I didn't have to pay for it. Thank fucking God. Because it cost $2,000 a month to go there. Like, the private universities, at least the ones that I know of, the ones that I know of that I know the tuition of, in Argentina, the private universities cost so fucking much that they would be expensive even if you were in the first world. $2,000 a month to go to a university that's worse than the free public universities in every conceivable way. The private universities here are a form of social, at least in Buenos Aires, because if you're in Buenos Aires, you can go to the University of Buenos Aires, which is the best university in Argentina, easily the best university in Latin America almost. There's no reason not to go there. There's only two reasons not to go there. One, it's really bad for bureaucracy. It takes a long time to get any sort of bureaucratic thing done. Two, you want to segregate yourself from poor people who you don't think are as good as you, or you have a perception of it as a liberal university, as a leftist university or whatever. Those are the only reasons. So in the private universities here, you get a bunch of kids whose parents are paying out the fucking ass, like $20,000 or more a year to send their kids to a private university that's worse than the free public university just because they don't want them associating with the lower class people in the public university. It's absurd. You know, there was some guy on Twitter arguing with me a couple of weeks ago about how I'm going to this private university and I'm going there because, business, no serious business wants graduates from the public university. And then I showed him a study that showed that when asked, most businesses say that they want public university students more than private ones in Argentina. So there's no fucking reason to go. There's no justification for it other than segregation. I mean, you have to understand, $20,000 in Argentina, the average person here, before the crisis, I would say the average wage here, like a good, decent middle-class wage, probably be about $9,000, $10,000 a year. So, like a family with two parents who have a decent house, making like $9,000, $10,000 a year here, would not be able to afford to send one child to a private university that costs $2,000 a month. No fucking way. So the people who can afford that are incredibly rich. They aren't just middle class. They aren't just upper middle class. Like they can basically spend two normal salaries on going to university. Not to mention that there's a crisis now, and the average salary has gone down a lot. It's probably like more like $4,000, $3,000 a year now. So yeah. Yeah, in Argentina, you can get into a public university no matter what. As far as I know, I think you can get in, like, you don't have to like pass. There's no limited placements. You can just sign up to a degree, but the degrees are very difficult. So a lot of people drop out. And if you're a foreigner, you can also do it as well. You have to pay for the masters, and for a PhD, you need to get a scholarship. But for the undergrads, no, they're free completely. Even if you just come on a tourist visa, you can sign up for an undergrad degree if you want, as long as you have good enough Spanish. I mean, if someone like I know lots of people from Venezuela who came here just to study because it was free. And when everything's going to shit there, it was a great option for them. You have to be fluent. I mean, if you want to do undergrad, yeah, you do. Well, the problem with that is that Pisco es peruano. It's not Chilean. So here, as far as I know, are there tests? I'm not sure if there are tests. I think you have to do 1 year of general studies no matter what. And then after that, you can choose. And from what I gather, the general studies is not that easy. And then you can choose your degree. And from what I know, the classes are the hard part. Like, they don't fuck around. You need to do really well. You don't get grades easily. So that's the part where, like, it doesn't get like too many people, like, as far as I know, but I'm not an authority on this. How do you feel about markets and socialism? I mean, I don't think market socialism is something incredibly special that we should aim for, but I know that's like Ben Burgess seems really big on it, even though he doesn't seem to know that he's arguing for it all the time. But I mean, I don't know. If I would be down with if someone showed me that this sort of thing worked, I would be down with it. I'd be down with anything. I'm interested in, giving people the shit that they need and letting them have relatively comfortable lives without wanting for basics. If you can demonstrate to me that whatever the thing that you think can do that, then I'll be very happy to go along with you. I must wipe my nose live on stream. Epic. Now I should probably stop and go to bed. It's almost 2 a.m. So that's one more question. Everyone ask questions now. So Ciroluro said the general studies is different between careers, so maybe it's not as universal as I thought it was. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that like anyone can sign up and you get weeded out by how difficult the actual classes are rather than having an exam, which I think is a pretty good system. It also allows people to have a lot of room to, change. If you fail at your first thing, maybe you should just go and try to study something else instead rather than giving up and having to start all over again, having to do an exam all over again. Thoughts on positivism? Oh, that's such a great question. It's epic, and it's for the win, and I love aliens and nukes. Shay should have done it. Okay, last question is a super chat. Does anarchism have a left and right wing? No, it doesn't. Anarcho-capitalism is just like a name that people appropriate. It's just a name that people appropriate to describe something that has nothing to do with anarchism. Because obviously, in anarcho-capitalism, there's hierarchy. And the very definition of anarchism is opposition to hierarchy. So that makes no fucking sense at all. I burped on stream. Oh god, I'm gross. Will there be a VOD? I'll upload it to my second channel, I think. I don't really want to put it on my first channel because I'm scared of what it will do for the algorithm. So yeah. Or I'll at least clip the important parts. So yeah. That's gonna be it then. I need to figure out how to stop this. Goodbye everyone. This is my only social contact with a live, oh no, it's not real social contact, but all my friends are in Buenos Aires and I'm stuck here in the middle of fucking nowhere waiting for them to open flights so that I can go back. So yeah. Thank you all for being my only friends in these dark days of quarantine. Anyway, I'm out of here. Bye. Send me money. I'm a grifter.